no delay. We got nothing to wait for here. Nothing to lose. We got stuff to do. Make sure my voice is all good. Yeah, we're all set. Hey, what is up, my man? How you doing? Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Right on. How are you doing, buddy?
Doing great.
Sweet. You are ready to get to some coaching?
Yes.
Right
Ready
on,
to learn
okay.
from the Goblin King.
Hell yeah, dude. Well, I'm glad that you, I was able to fool you into thinking that I could somehow help you, and that you fell trapped to my truly platinum plays that somehow got me into Masters. I have no clue, but we'll see if we can trick your opponents too. Are you online right now? You're on StarCraft
Yeah,
2?
I'm on StarCraft 2.
Okay, great. Just join channel Apoptosis on the NA server, and we can do it that way.
Oh, yeah,
There he is. Okay, so I will you go ahead and invite me to a party. Have you ever done replays with other people before? Do you know how to like change over hosts and such?
Yeah.
Okay, so go ahead. I did get the chance to look at your second replay that you sent me. The first one, I did start watching it, but that one I saw it was a Rax rush. So unless it's like something specifically you wanted to go over, we'll try to look at just like straight macro-ish kind of games if that's what you want to focus on.
Right.
Wait, I have a few notes on the first one already, I think it's called Game That Got Me D1. So
yeah,
that was
that one.
Yeah, we can take a look at that one if you want to start there.
Sure, we can. That's a pretty old one, right? There's like 1 or 2 weeks ago.
No problem. Yeah, take your time, man. So are you just recently Diamond 1? Have you been Diamond for a long time?
I just started last season. I got D1 around a week or so ago.
Nice. Okay, so you just started last season. Wow. Okay, so you've been accelerating. That's pretty quick, man. I got to be honest with you. That's very fast. So it seems like you have a solid either understanding of the game. Have you played any other RTS or anything like that, or is this your first one?
Never. This is the first one.
Okay, sweet. All right.
I don't think I have that replay anymore, actually.
Oh, no problem. That's cool. We can just go into any other one. Like it's fine. Whichever replay you would like to take a look at. That is the easiest way I've found to impart some information on the coachees, if you will.
All right.
What's up, everybody? Just joining us here. We're going to be doing some coaching for Vespionagee here.
I'm not sure if this isn't exactly a straight macro game. It technically is a macro game, but
sure.
This is from the YouTube video I sent you, the one.
Oh, okay.
Faced against Groovy.
Oh, don't start it quite yet. Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's okay. Yeah, that's okay. We can just back out real quick. It's all good. Groovy, man. Yeah, quite a good StarCraft 2 player right there.
GM on all races, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, he's quite skilled. I think I've played him one time.
Hey, thanks for subscribing to the Goblin King.
Let's back out of this.
You done did it.
Just replay the Goblin. Be smart up at Doyaya.
I like playing with higher level players. Like, I think it gives me the best. How do you say? The best experience to know if like whatever tactic I'm working on like actually does anything.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I would definitely agree. So that is a very, very good way to learn the game and kind of accelerate it at it quickly. I try to do that whenever I can as well. So in that form ahead you fill out, I'll just write some notes there.
Right.
I will write some notes there for you. So you don't have to worry about taking notes and stuff. You can just kind of pay attention to what's going on pretty much in general here. So let's just take a look at your early game versus Protoss. I think you mentioned you wanted to try and go for swarm host kind of plays, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
In this game, though, when I go farmhouse, it's kind of bad.
Sure,
Like
that's
I
okay.
got pretty nervous that he was a high level player and
Yeah,
just
that
didn't
happens.
take the game. I feel
That's
like I could
okay.
have won this one though.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Let's take a look though. So far, so good. Overlord heading over to the natural. Gonna take a look at that. Our first Overlord heading across the map. Yep, gonna take a look at the wall.
My warning is that I never go hatch first.
That's fine.
Like
That's
always
fine.
go full first macro.
Yeah, that's cool. Here's a couple things actually, real quick already. I always am a stickler for the early game because it's so huge, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so a couple things. Number one, just this first Overlord that's running across the map here. You're playing it very safe, which is great. Like, that's not a bad idea at all. Versus Protoss, you can be a bit greedier. Death Aura is a bit of a scary map, but for instance, you could have your Overlord sitting on top of his wall, and he could basically have a Stalker finish and start attacking it, and you should still be able to make it to that pillar.
To the pillar.
Yeah, I recommend... obviously, having your Overlord just go in and go out is not a bad idea if you're worried about losing it. We do that versus Terran, right? We do that versus Zerg. All of that's really smart. Versus Protoss, though, they really don't want to make Stalkers. They really don't want to make Sentries. So even if you force them to do that, that's not a bad idea. And getting an idea of, hey, when is his warp gate timing? Hey, when is his... is he going a second gate? Does he put a second pylon down? A lot of that stuff can help us out. And then second thing here, so I'll resume it. So I'll write that down while we're getting to the second thing I noticed. So, versus Protoss.
So if it's like Zealot Adept, they can just have the Overlord sitting there, right?
Oh yeah, I in fact send my Overlord all the way into their base. And like what I'll do here is I'll literally just send it into their main and then behind their main sometimes if I want to do that.
Right.
I opened up 12 pool versus Protoss, so I usually don't really have to do that, but you can certainly do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna check out your replay pack with the 12 pool after.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's quite a good way to open, I think, versus Protoss in this day and age. But certainly going just even pool first can put a lot of pressure on them. This here, and I noticed you did this in your first replay you sent me as well. You're really active with your drones, which is good, but we pulled this buddy a little too early. This guy that's patrolling to become the spawning pool, especially on a 17, you have a lot of time, right? So it's a minor thing, but there's nothing else going on in the game, so I always try to kind of hound people about it. Learn like what time you should take a drone off of minerals. I think even 17 here, let's just unpause. You can, I think... Yeah, you can just rally one of those first two. You see that? You see how these first two drones just finished? Yeah, you can just rally one of those to become the pool, and it'll be within like 5 minerals, basically. But yeah, that's just is the most efficient with economy there. It also makes it so you don't have to worry about like when you get more comfortable and you start like stacking drones and stuff like that. You don't have to worry about accidentally messing up your drone stacks. This is all kind of stuff that can help with. So it's kind of built in a little bit nicely there. You don't have to worry about it. If it's within like 5 minerals, I think that's totally fine. So here, let me unpause it, and then we can... I'll just write that down. Overlord goes to natural wall. Okay. Actually, I want to pause it here too. I'm just going to finish typing this down real quick, and then I will comment on this. And stays there to see warp gate timing plus first units they make.
I just want to thank you guys for
And
subscribing
then
to the Goblin King's
second
channel.
thing,
Way to go, big
spawning
spender.
pool off 17 hatch, or sorry, 17. Let's see, spawning pool on 17. Pull one of your, we'll just say 15/16 drones. We'll rally. That will make it a little less ambiguous. Rally one of your 15/16 drones to become the pool. Okay. Now, after that part, there's a couple things we can do here. Yeah, so this is one of the reasons why I open up 12 pool almost all the time is because I always want to take my natural. It's not necessarily a good reason to do that, but it's it's a nice advantage. You can, so you pulled this drone quite early again. I would say it is map dependent. but you can pull this guy at about like 160, 170. And the reason that I make mention of this is because let's say he didn't block this here, we would be waiting to take our 16 hatch. And it's not always guaranteed the probe is going to be quite, this is a very, very early probe, for instance. It won't always be quite this early. So even, if we were to pull this drone down, let's say worst case scenario, it's sitting there, it's waiting to become the hatchery, and then the probe comes, we're just in a really bad situation. So what I usually recommend doing, pull a drone at between like 160 to 170. You can vary it up on the map, but I just wouldn't worry about that for now. 160 to 170 is fine. And what I like to do is rally your drone kind of where the drone at the natural is standing now, and then immediately shift click it back into the hatch. And all we're going to look for during that time is there a probe there? Let's say we didn't notice it with our overlord at first or whatever it is, right? And then if you notice, hey, there's a probe coming, I'm not going to be able to take my hatch down, we can just immediately go and take our third instead. So that makes it a bit nicer for us so that we don't have to really worry about it. And you can still take a hatchery at 300 minerals, regardless if it's your natural or it's at your third. This way, when you pull it at 160, you're only waiting. It's only like inefficient for it's something like 30 to 40 minerals. What you've pulled it at is inefficient of like 80 to 90. So just keep that in mind. But you got the right idea though. So you pulled the drone. So good.
The reason I pulled it, I pull them early usually, is to see if there's an early probe, so that when it makes it to my third, it's almost exactly 300. But
Sure.
Yeah,
I understand. Yeah, I totally get that. And in this day and age of holy crap, Protoss is kind of just blocking our natural every single game anyways. It's not too inefficient. But it just, again, it can make a big difference. This is nice. He kind of wastes that.
Okay, this is the weird part of my build.
Yes, I see. We went for the. Do you always just go for the heavy gas if there is one if your natural gets blocked, or what do you try to do?
No. It depends when I'm mind gaming my opponent, how many times we faced, etc.
Sure. Okay. So it's gonna get weird. I dig it. Okay, we got the 4 lings out. Very cool. And he is now going to have to go check for a proxy hatch because he's not sure if that drone left and became a base somewhere. Okay, we immediately take our natural after that.
The small mind game here is usually when you take a rich Vespine base, you'd usually take the right side because I forgot because I don't know. Wait, do my reinforcements come faster? I'm not sure because he checks this one on the right side, and he says this one would usually be better.
The reason why he would say that is because if they make a Stargate in their main, it would fly over this hatchery way more times than it would usually fly over the one to the right. Same thing to go with Zealots. The pathing is faster on the left. So immediately here, obviously, we got some huge red flags. There's no wall off at the natural. In this situation, I would almost probably always sack the Overlord here because we want to see one of two things. Number one, is there buildings in his main? And number two, well, actually, that's just it. Because if there's no buildings, that means that there's like a 4 gate somewhere on the map, and we need to react to that ASAP. So I would immediately send this Overlord that you have at the natural in. And this is another reason I would say not to rally it back against Protoss, because now we have a longer distance to run there. I would say if he was 4-gating us, we might be dead based on the actions of this game. But hey, you never know.
Actually, I normally do that, but because Groovy did the same thing last game I played him. He did a high ground wall because he sent the probe out there.
Sure.
Yeah, so I just kind of assumed.
Gotcha. Okay. I know that we have our drones rallied to our natural right now. It's a bit better just to keep them, even if it oversaturates our main. It's better to keep them there for a couple reasons. Number one, oversaturating your main is almost never a bad idea. The whole going above 16 workers is really not that bad at all. for
Mhm.
Protoss or any race, honestly. So obviously it's less distance for them to travel. They get to mining a lot faster, and they're safer too, right? Like, let's say he did have aggressive units on the map or something like that, we would be able to protect them a lot easier here. So let me just write down a few of those things that I just said so that we don't forget it. So Overlord goes straight into the main if there is no wall at the natural. And I know you said you kind of metagamed a little bit, but we're just going over like
Yeah, yeah.
stock standard safe play kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then we'll say rally drones to your main base if your natural isn't
complete yet. Yeah.
isn't complete yet. Okay, great. All right, so we got Lings. We got him on the other side of the map. This is fine. His micro is obviously going to be probably a bit better than ours, so he's not really going to lose this adept,
Definitely.
I don't imagine. Bit of a bamboozle here happening, I see. Yeah, this game's going to get real freaking weird pretty quick here.
Yeah.
Yeah, his setup is pretty nice. It's going to be...
And he's got the shield battery here at my base.
Yeah, this is a tough one. I won't really be able to comment too much on like what you should do in this situation. Ideally, this situation wouldn't really ever happen.
Yeah. Actually, there's a point in this game.
Yeah.
There's a certain point in this game where I could have won, but I threw and I wanted to ask what to do from a certain angle.
Sure.
Yeah. So you'll see it. Like,
yeah, we can kind of speed it up to that. I will say, and I could be. This is my knee-jerk reaction. I like your Roach Warren here. I would probably go like 2 or 3 spines, because there's nothing. Yeah, there's nothing keeping him from just going into the main right now necessarily. Like, yeah, he could lose some stuff, but it's really not that big of a deal. He's kind of holding the cards at this point. We do have the rich Vespionagee, so that's pretty sick, and we have a base that he doesn't know about, so that's also pretty good. And slow warp-ins are not great. So he's going for some very aggressive, cheesy stuff here. And yeah, we'll speed it up until we find that one spot that you're interested in. I don't mind I like the Roach Warren, though. One thing I would try to do in situations like this, because it's almost turned into like a contain cannon rush position, is as soon as you can, try to put a creep tumor down. Put a creep tumor down like at the edge over here, because that reduces the area that he can build, which is huge. It's actually massive on this kind of situation. So yeah,
I sadly didn't make another queen for that. Sadly.
You can even do that with your first queen. I would skip an inject to do it. Okay. It's that important, actually. It's like so. It's so good to do. Yeah. In fact, when I defend Cannon Rush, I skip my first inject on my queen, and I go immediately creep tumor. Because I want to reduce the amount of...
Where would you normally put it? If he puts it... Yeah.
Yeah, so it just depends on how honestly, it really depends on the situation. You want to be as greedy with it as you can, while still being able to make sure that you can hold it. So if he only had one adept down here, I would feel pretty confident putting it down next to maybe like this mineral patch. Like the closest mineral patch to our main. Now that he's got a lot of stuff... Unless I don't think he's paying attention or I'm trying to gamble, I would probably put it at the top of the ramp. And then see if I could, like, sneak it down when he's microing or something like that, you know? Against a cannon rush situation, it usually depends on the map and where they're actually building at. But you want to make it out of range of their cannons, but in a way that cuts off their ability to spread out, if that makes sense. It does kind of depend on each map, but usually just going for a tumor, even if it gets killed, the amount of time it takes them to like reduce is very good.
The yellow one.
Okay, so we got Overlord here. He's warping in. Okay, we're going Ling Roach Ravager. I think honestly this is not too bad. One thing you could decide to do here, I see that we're trying to push this. You can honestly do roaches from your side base here and attack him. That is a big play you could do in this situation, because you do have larva. You do have larva available on the map. that's not being
Yeah.
contained by his stuff. So that's a big situation here. But let's see how this fight goes.
I could be using it for injects. I used it for pre-tumors. That is a good idea. I could inject here and then just make roaches from
Yeah.
the base.
You don't even necessarily have to inject. Like, that's not a terrible idea. You actually have way more than you need here to just walk into this guy and kill him. Oh, okay. Yeah, I think you could have... I don't know if you could have quote-unquote won, but you definitely could stop this contain right now.
Actually, you'll see it here.
Okay, sure. Should we go for tons of Ravagers?
Keep on rocking.
He's Twilight back at home. And another Gateway. Okay. Okay. So let's see what we got going on here.
Look at how many Ravagers.
Yeah, this is quite a lot. This is actually be pretty tough for him to hold.
Who are you talking to?
Coach.
Huh?
Coach.
Who's coach?
Coach.
Tell them your dad's 2 packs ako.
Okay, so definitely when I take out this base, I could have won, right?
Yeah, I would say we don't even want to worry about this Nexus here. I would say based on the amount of units he had, you could have just slammed into the main and tried to win right there.
Yeah, I wish I did that.
Yeah, hindsight kind of 2020. I would say the only two things I would have changed from like this situation in the game. Number one, I probably would have taken the extra couple seconds to at least kill the pylon back at your natural. Right now you can't expand there. So if this does go into a weird kind of game, you know, you can at least actually expand still. But right now with the cannon, it's actually a little bit difficult with the units you have back at home to take that out. So just a real fast, like, walk over, kill the one pylon that's power everything, and then leave and go attack him. That's not a bad spot. You did a really good job getting the shields down, things like that. I suffer from this too, and it can be difficult to really identify, honestly, because it's, hey, am I being too greedy? Am I, like, trying to just end the game, or should I just take the advantage that I can get? It's really going to be a game-to-game decision that you have to make. In that situation, I think, yeah, Ravagers go into the main, and the Lings can even stay back at the natural here, because the Lings aren't going to accomplish too much right now. So they could actually even just kill the probes and then work on the Nexus and everything else going on down here, and you can kind of get the best of both worlds. But yeah, so, I mean, this is still not, like, an awful position, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But I think his micro might be up to the challenge. We'll see.
From this point, what could I have gone for added pressure? Because I ended up losing this game because I was nervous and just didn't make workers and stuff.
The best pressure, because we kind of did miss our timing to just kind of win. I think right now, if you're not like immediately crushing this, especially when he gets the shield battery up, we should just go home. Like, we should just leave.
Yeah.
Because we want to have as many forces back at home as we can. So we bleed out a lot of our units here. So let me show you the spot right here where I think if you left, we would still be in a really good position. Okay, we're just going to go back to, like, the beginning because it wasn't that long, right? So we go in. We're doing a great job. And then here, yeah, we're killing the probes. We got to deal with that. Sure. Yep, Lings are causing a problem. Kill the Immortals. Microing well with Ravagers here. Okay. So we decide to kill the Nexus, which is, again, that's fine. But, again, right here, though, this was the opportunity to win because he only had, like, 2 Stalkers on the map. Right. So, pretty much right here.
Yeah,
when you can't, like, push in and win... If we couldn't push in and win with what we had, another Ravager is not going to make the difference. We do have Lings rallying, which is great, don't get me wrong. But at the same time, I would probably do what you're doing now. Kill these buildings, so kill both the simulators, kill the gateway, and then just go home. Like, just go home and leave. Then we can go into kind of whatever tech we want to. We can expand. We already have a natural that's going, so that's good. We can expand to the third, like we've done. Fantastic. Go for a layer, get roach speed, get our upgrades going. And then just keep a Ling on this side of the map, like a couple Lings. Is he going to re-expand? Is he going to push out across the map? That'll kind of tell us, hey, can I drone or do I have to just make more army, right? Because the game is quote unquote won, right? We just have to not lose. Like that's the that's the big play. But it's hard because Protoss are one of the most defensive, and especially on this kind of one-based setup with the units we have, it's really difficult.
I think that's pretty much it from this replay. They pretty much just do everything stupid from here on out.
It's tough, man, because that's a common Zerg trap, right? Is okay, just a little bit more, or I'm doing so well, I can just keep rallying over here, and we can bust in for some more. So, yeah, that game got super weird, but we will carry on. If you have any other ones, definitely let's take a look.
Let's see. Let me check for the new set.
Yeah, no worries. Take your time. Any of the ones you sent me as well, that's cool. Something that I would say the best ones are, like the really, really best ones are games where you feel like you played decently well, you played your best, but you still lost or something. Yeah, those are like the cream of the crop. But even if it's games where you won, like those are fine still. Like we can still get some good information out of that here. Because I know you wanted. Yeah, go for it.
I think this is the one.
Okay.
Like, I have trouble with like people who go turtle straight into Skytos, like no delays.
Sure. So just past host. Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, I think this is the game.
I feel you there, man. Okay.
Normally my games don't last long. Normally I just do a push and then.
It's over one way or the other, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But like, if it's turtle straight into Skytos, I have no idea what to do.
It's tough. Yeah, it's definitely tough. Yeah. You mentioned on your form that you filled out for me, you wanted to try Swarm Host type of play, yeah?
Yeah, for Skytos, like Hydra Swarm Host, I'm not sure if that's still possible. I saw it was a thing, but I'm not sure.
You can. It's a kind of an older style to go Hydra Swarm Host, and it was back before TOS was really doing like what they're doing now. But you certainly can. You certainly can. Okay, so similar opening here. That was better, I think, with the spawning pool. Still a little bit early on the drone. Yeah, see, so that's actually exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, this guy just decided to not do it, but he could have blocked you there, and then your drone was just like, okay, well, I feel stupid now. Like, what am I doing? Like, oh god. All right, well, this is nice of him to not block our hatchery, so that's good.
I swear I thought he was Canon rushing me. He didn't.
So I will tell you this: if you're worried about Cannon Rush, I'll just write this down for you because I recently did a lot of stuff here to know the Cannon Rush timings. So I'll say 110 plus. That's the macro Cannon Rush. Generally.
Macro Cannon.
Yeah, so that's when they're gonna go gate forage, and at the natural. Gate forage, natural wall off.
What would you do then? Like,
what's that?
How do you even save? What would you do then? If, like, would you save your NAT? Would you try to save your NAT?
Here, I can tell you exactly what I would do. I'll just finish writing this. 105 or less, that is, like, we'll call that pure Cannon Rush. So that's like one base, forge first stuff. Okay. Against a macro Cannon Rush, you let your natural finish and you immediately go take your third. Just with another drone. So you let the natural go, you immediately take your third, and then you just kind of play from there.
Do you just let it die? Or?
Yep, pretty much. There are definite ways that you can defend it, but even just letting it die is not the absolute worst in the world.
Okay.
Yeah. So if like the cannon gets up and your hatch isn't even done, sure, you can cancel it at that point if you really want to. There's a number of ways you can play it out. If you are going early pool every game, though, you actually might be able to just defend that. So I would probably, if you go early pool here, what would you need to do? So this is a 17 pool, and then you go for a hatchery. You could try to just like squeeze out one overlord. So instead of this drone, you can go for an overlord, and then you just bank larva. And I think you should be able to get 2, maybe 3. And then as soon as that's done, you could make a spine and a queen and then try to go for it. Because if you can do all of that, you're in a sick position. Because you're like 3 base and they went forge first, which is really, really, or forge second, which is really bad
we
for them
probably go
economically.
straight into sky toss, which will still pose a problem for me. But
Oh look, this is a
we
gate
can also do
forge.
that,
This is a gate
it
forge
is a gate
opening.
forge.
Yeah. Oh my god. He's super late on it though. This is like ridiculously late. He may have decided not to do it because he saw your pool first. Or he put the forge down reactively because he doesn't know his timings and he doesn't know if this is a 12 pool or what. Yeah, so that's always a possibility too. Yeah, he
even put 2 pylons too.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, 2 pylons is very bad for him. So
Yeah.
that means, do you know what 2 pylons means at the natural?
Later Nexus.
Well, yes, but do you know the second thing that it means that's really, really nice for us?
No, what is it?
It means the tech is going to be at the natural. Because he has no pylon in the main.
No pylon in the yeah.
Correct. So the tech is going to be in the natural. Unless he crazy delays it and puts a 3rd pylon in the main or something like stupid like that. So that means that not only did he, 1, delay his Nexus here, 2, he went Forge first before Cybernetics, or sorry, Forge second before Cyber, plus he made a cannon, plus his Nexus isn't down, plus he has to put his tech in the natural. This guy is in an awful spot.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, and then I still lost.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah.
It happens to me all the time, so. All right, we're doing good stuff though. We got we got gas going, cool. We got forge, that's fine. Yeah, Lings come back. That's totally good as well. Do we see no warp gate here? Yeah, we see no warp gate. Okay. Yeah, moving the
I still
Overlord.
sent it in because I didn't think about the. Well, at least
You know what though? He did go for the 3rd, so that's like.
And I didn't see it.
It's quote unquote bad, right? It's quote unquote bad, but people will still do it. So like, you always have to like account for that too. The big tell here though is no warp gate. Like the warp gate timing is so late. Did you notice that this game? You think?
No, I didn't pay attention. I was going to look for tech at the main.
Gotcha. So are you kind of familiar with like warp gate versus no warp gate kind of stuff?
Not in particular.
Okay, so do you know what let's start at the very beginning. Do you know what a cybernetics core looks like? So that's his building all the way.
And I know when it spins. And
you know when it's researching. Okay. Yeah. Perfect. So there are a couple bamboozle builds where they will go for like air upgrades or something stupid like that, but I would pretty much just take that out of your brain.
Okay.
If by the time, like by now, right? If that's not spinning, okay, he's going for a Stargate. Like 200%. He could have it spinning by now and still be going for a Stargate off of a Forge first, especially if he's going for a Stalkers. You kind of just want to play safe in this position and assume it's going to be a Stargate, or at least at the very worst, like DTs or something like that. But seeing that there's no spin at this point in the game, this guy is like 10,000% going Stargate. Otherwise, he's just going to lose. Like you cannot delay your warp gate for this long because you could just kill him with pretty much anything in about 2 minutes if he doesn't have warp gate. So we'll just put down here. Traditionally, 2 pylons at the nat means tech is in the nat. But they can technically just put another pylon in the main and go for tech there. If no spinning on Cybercore for a long time, Stargate. The Forge makes this a little bit more difficult to know. Traditionally, Forge type of builds like this are going to be going into Stargate though. So in the worst case scenario, be safe against like other stuff as well, like make a Roach Warren and whatnot, but also you can probably just assume here that it's Stargate.
I think I scout with my OV speed, so I do know there's no other thing other than Stargate, so I didn't make the war in this game. Usually I make the war in there for blood.
So I would love to say that because I want to do that as well. Here's why you should not. You should just make the Roach Warren anyways. The reason for that is because they can technically just go a couple voids and go for a really bad charge lot timing. That's pretty rough. In theory, if you're like, if we're like top players here, sure, we can delay our Roach Warren. We can delay our Roach Warren by, 20, 30 seconds. If you're finding games where you mean to make it, but you forget, like the perfect timing, I think this game is just make the Roach Warren at like 410, because you do kind of want it anyways. There is nothing wrong with just putting it down at like 330, 340 though. There really isn't. Especially since we didn't see his tech. So I would say especially this game, because it could technically be Twilight. It could be DTs, and then we're like, okay, this is not as easy anymore. Right. So let me just write that down. I honestly used to have builds that like, okay, this is my Stargate build. This is my Roach Warren like versus Twilight opener kind of stuff. I almost combine those now pretty much, because there are just some tricky builds that they take a fast charge lots after Stargate, and they just run at you with like 2 Void Rays and like 18 charge lots, and you're like, all right, well, I'm dead. So if SG first, we can just go for like a 410 Roach Warren, and then we'll say plus layer. Like that's fine. 410 Roach Warren plus layer, that's a-okay. If Robo / Twilight first, we want no later than 340 Roach Warren. And then you can just take layer at the same time. Pairing Roach Warren and layer, it's not like 100% the most efficient thing in the world, but you can do it. Okay, so we got our spores. We're droning up like a madman here. Very good. We're busting out
OV
queens.
Speed.
OV speed, I like it. Okay, so we do see that it's Stargate. I like it. Big thing here. And this you can kind of just take to any one of your games, is he has no third base at the moment.
I do that. Where did my links go? That's where I put them.
Yeah, I think you ran them around. You ran them around.
Yeah.
Which is great. You should definitely do that. So this guy's third is just super late. I don't know if he just feels threatened or what.
Yeah, I thought I could just kill him here with Hydras.
In theory, but so here's the thing with Hydras. You get if you make them off of like 2 base economy, you get like 1 shot at it, and then if you don't win, you're in a really bad spot. Yeah, you're in a bad spot. But let's see
a lot
this
of
guy.
drones, but like a decent amount of drones.
Yeah, you're up to a solid drone count, 66. Like that's fine.
Yeah.
No problems here. I like it. 4th base is going down. Creep's looking very tasty. This guy's playing hella passive. I like the Lings going to the 4th base. That's very good. Hydra's going across the map. Alrighty. So Hydras go in, though. See, this is a small number of Hydras, though.
Yeah.
A little worried about the Hydra count. And it's pure Hydra as well. There are some Zerglings here, but it is a little bit tricky.
Yeah. I looked at the supply here, and I thought I could just like run him over, but
Okay.
apparently.
Here's the problem. All right, well, you know what? Let's just watch. We're gonna watch.
All right, yeah. Please tell me I get this. Yes,
Yeah,
I
you
got
did.
it.
Good job. Hey, I like what we're doing, to be honest with you. I like what we're doing with the Hydras anyways. Like, that's fine.
And now they're dead.
Yeah, so a couple things happened here. Number one, he took a very defensive approach, right? Like, he just went, like... He went straight into, like, carrier, and he had shield batteries and stuff like that at his third. Shield batteries really don't do anything for carriers. They actually really suck for carriers. But for void rays and stuff like that, they can be fine. Here is the issue, though. Let's just go back to the beginning of that fight here. It's nothing really that you did as far as, like, micro. You didn't, like, you're supposed to attack with, you know, in this kind of position or something like that. It's nothing like that, so don't worry about that. Oops, sorry, I hit B instead of P. So, here's my gripe, though. Here's my issue. It's two things. Number one, we could delay this attack probably by about a minute to a minute and a half and be maxed out on Hydras instead. So if we just went Overlords and then we started spamming Hydras and we just made literally as many units as possible, you could hit this guy at like 8.5, 9 minutes, and you would be in a much like more threatening position, and he would have maybe what, 2, 3 more carriers out, maybe 4, which in low numbers are not super fantastic, and that's the only thing he has in his army. Number 2, we hit right before +1 is done. So if you look at that right there, yeah, so that is huge. And people do this all the time. Pros do this all the time, man. This is what we call the anti-timing, right? Basically, we hit right before our army is about to be way more powerful. Same thing with Hydra range in that situation there. So seeing this, if I'm playing this and I see +1's not done yet, you know, Hydra range is almost done. Okay, I'm going to delay this attack by a bit. I'm going to make more overlords. I'm just going to spam as many units as I can. And it doesn't have to only be Hydras, and I don't recommend it to only be Hydras. So here's the reason why.
Hydra pushes never worked for me.
Hydra pushes will literally almost never work, and as your opponents get more and more prepared, they will start taking Warp Gate, and they will start like just having like 6, you know, 4 to 6, and charge lots will just decimate Hydras like no problem. Like if you think this attack went bad, wait till they have charge lots with it, right? So at minimum,
what units would I use?
roaches. We want roaches, or at least at minimum Lingbane. You need both, right? So we want to make a full army composition that can deal with anything this guy's got thrown at us here, right? We can always kind of tilt the scales on one end or the other. So he's going mass sky stuff. Okay, we'll make more Hydras. He's making a lot more ground. He just has a little bit of sky stuff. Okay, we make a lot more Roach Ravager or whatever, right? But we want to make sure we have both. Or at minimum, again, Lingbane. Lingbane Hydra is certainly fine to play against this kind of composition. In fact, it's not a terrible idea at all. Let's say we delay this. We get like 30 Zerglings, and we get like 8 more Hydras, right? Like, that's not so much stuff there. That's like another round of injects and another round of overlords. And let's say the situation's very similar here, but he has a few more air things. Even if we don't, like, quote-unquote win in that exact moment, we can be looking for openings here, and there is a massive opening, and I mean the one that's directly at his natural. Yeah. Where our Zerglings just run into this guy's main and kill literally everything that's in there, and then we just go back home, max out again, whatever, right? So those are a couple key things there. Try practicing specific builds like that in like, you know, custom games, just against like the AI or in an empty custom. You're doing a lot of stuff really well, I will say. Your creep spread is very, very solid for ZVP. I think that's awesome. Your general ideas as well, I think are right on the money. We just had a couple of things that made this not the most effective attack in the world. Now, is this generally what you want to do versus Stargate, or do you not like this response? Do you want to change it up? Like how?
I don't like typically what I like playing around is Roach Ravager, and if there's air, I like playing with Queens. But I just thought this was such a big air army that Queens can be able to do anything with it.
Okay, I mean,
I really hate
you can
Hydras.
do that. You can do that. You really hate what?
I really hate Hydras.
Hydras? Okay.
Yeah. I think
I
they're
love
just
Hydras.
like a killer unit for lurkers, but I don't like them as a unit.
That's fair. There's a lot of players who would agree with that, to be honest with you. But Hydras have their place for sure. If you wanted to go Queens, for instance, there are a lot of very solid builds that can deal with like air, even with like carriers in Void Rays and stuff like that. Now, granted, you can't really go super late game with it because if they start maxing out. Yeah. Did you want it, like, I know you mentioned in that forum, or in that forum, you wanted to try to do like swarm host builds versus Stargate as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
Was that possible here?
Theoretically, sure. I mean, anything is possible, man. It's just a matter of, is it, let me make a disclaimer. You will probably eventually start to hit players where that might not become as readily of an option, especially when you start playing players over and over again. The swarm host response to like this type of thing, it is not like on the radar of responses. Does that mean you can't do it? No. I think you could certainly do a swarm host response to this, but we need to think about what it means to go swarm host and how you're going to do it, right? Without dying. First of all, this guy was super passive, like crazy passive. So you're going to play against players who are way more active with their Sky Toss army, and they'll try to threaten your bases and things like that. Number 2, swarm hosts are very, very slow, right? So we need a method to ferry them around. Okay, so let's
Nidus and stuff.
let's kind of craft a theory of build, like a bit of a build idea here. So let's just say versus Protoss, we'll go swarm host style. Okay. This, you can apply this and it would work much better probably versus something like a ground army, right? But you can technically do it. I'm not saying you can't play this or something.
Yeah. No worries.
So we'll kind of break it down here. So the first thing is it Stargate or is it Robo/Twilight? Second thing, am I being all in? Because if you're being all in, you cannot make swarm host. Like I don't have the answer for that one with swarm host. So we need to
I usually just pump out road Ravager.
See the third base. See the third base timing. We'll say if no third
at 4:50.
by 4th. Be looking at 4:30. We'll say 4:30 to 5 minutes. Start pumping units
at 4:30.
Well, like 4:30, you can just make a round of safety units, because even if they take a third, that's not to say they won't just make like 8 adepts walk across the map and see if they can do something.
Is true.
That I lose the game to that all the time. So 4:30 is a really nice time to just kind of make some good units there. And we'll say versus SG, let's go 410 Roachworn plus Lair versus Twilight Robo. Let's go like 330 Roachworn and then like 345 Lair is fine. You can even push the Lair back more if you want to. Like, it does not have to be that early. You took your spore timings, I think, at totally fine times here. Okay, second thing, am I being all in? Let's assume you're not, okay? Third thing. Economy plus swarm hosts. So swarm hosts, do you know what the optimal swarm host drone count is?
72, right?
66.
Really?
Yep, 66. 66 is totally fine.
Oh, yeah. 72 is against, like, mech or something, right?
I mean, there's you can go like a little bit higher with swarm hosts, but you generally do not want to go like, you certainly don't want like 80. So let's just do 60. We want 3 base, 66 drones. Exactly, 3 base, 66 drones. Now let's say we've reached it. We've reached this position. Okay. Versus Stargate, we need queens. Okay, because we do not want to spend gas on mutas, we don't want to spend gas on corruptors, and we don't want to spend gas on hydras. We want to spend gas on swarm hosts. The perfect unit to complement that in this situation is queens. Queens are incredible. Queens are amazing. Queens are going to basically keep you safe versus almost everything Stargate related for the first like 10 minutes of the game. Doesn't matter if they have 8 void rays, doesn't matter if they have 4 void rays. Queens can deal with it, okay? So we want to have a bunch of them, because that's our only anti-air that we're gonna go. Versus like void rays, it's less important to have spore crawlers, but I do still recommend having 1 in each, like you have right now, in case they do go for an oracle or something like that. Because just because they made a void ray doesn't mean they can't just make an oracle. And a bunch of queens. So we want to get like literally 8+. Okay? 8+ queens. Yep. With that's what we want to get up to.
Excluding the ones at the bases.
Yes. Yep. Okay. So like we want to have our inject queens plus like, I would say anywhere from 6 to 8, depending on how many void rays they make. Okay. we'll say 6 to 8 plus. That's fine.
Yeah.
Let me tab this one back out here. So let's say we've survived this long. Okay, we've survived this long. We want to do a couple of things versus Stargate here. If you want to go for swarm hosts, and this is actually just in general. So swarm host timing. It's extremely important that we can get this timing down. Number 1 is do not make an infestation pit until you are about done with your eco. There's just no point. There's just really no point. Once the infestation pit goes down, do not make any gas units. Otherwise, we won't have enough to do anything. Once it's finished, we want to go 12 to 13 swarm hosts. No more.
Okay.
At first, okay? Do not make any more than that. Your hard cap, and then we'll say hard cap is like 15 to 16. Never go higher than that, ever. Because when you go higher, even 15 to 16 is a ton. If you go higher than that number, one bad wave, you just lose the game. Like if they know what they're doing. If you flub a wave, exactly. So hard cap of 15 to 16. As your swarm hosts are in production, do 2 things. Okay, number 1, put down an itis.
Okay,
Put down an itis and hotkey it. You want to have a hotkey for that bad boy. I personally use, this is the only mouse hotkey I use, and it's my back one. It's like 9, which is a hotkey I would never use in a traditional game anyways. So my Nidus Worm is like just a mouse button that I have. But you can just make it one.
Used my back mouse, so that's fine. I could do that.
Yep. So that's not a bad one. If you want to, though, you can just make it a button that you don't often hit because you don't need to click it very much, but it is nice to have it. And then the second thing is send out spotterlings. Okay, we want lings all around their bases in a cone, like a concave. Okay, so we would want in this situation on this map, when he takes this third, we would want a pair of lings here. Let me unpause it so these other pings go away, because now we're not necessarily looking at this game at the moment, but we would want lings like here. Lings here is fine. Definitely lings there, and then lings here. So you see, we want this whole cone all around him. Yep, that's exactly what we want, because overlords are extremely slow, even with speed. I mean, overseers are very quick, of course, but they're also very costly. If you lose an overlord, you lose supply cap, you lose a lot of money, things like that. Lings are very, very, very good for spotting, for Nidus positions, and for escaping. If a Void Ray attacks a Speedling, they can just run away. Okay? So basically, you want to have these Lings in position, and then you want to have your Nidus Worm finish, and your Swarm Host immediately in that Nidus Worm. Okay? Okay, so once Swarm Host plus Nidus plus Lings are in position, go for their third. That's your big ticket. Here is your win condition with Swarm Hosts. This is how you win the game, okay? You have to keep them off of a 4th base for the rest of the game. If they take a 4th base, you lose.
Oh god.
That's your that is the way that it goes. And that also applies versus mech. If you cannot kill their 3rd and you can't stop them from taking a 4th, you lose the game. Okay? So that you can basically just kind of call it right there.
Okay. I got a question though. So,
yeah.
Prior to this, like he's going all the Stargate stuff, right? Do I make roaches along with this one still, and just use queens to defend, or when do I make a Hydra then, etc.?
Yeah. So that's a really great question. So as soon as you're done with your 12 to 13 swarm hosts, so let's say as soon as your first Nidus finishes. Pray to God that you finish it and he doesn't get lucky and scouts it or something like that. You need to max out immediately. Okay? And that max out should be, like, appropriate for what they have. Okay? So, what do I mean by that? if you need to make extra queens because they have, like, if you need to go up to literally 12 to 15 queens because they're going air, that is fine. If you need to go and max out on roaches because they have a ton of ground, that is also fine. You need to adjust it depending on what their army is here. So Swarm Host is a style that you have to play very... You can play proactively, but you also need to play reactively on the back end, if that makes sense. It is not an easy style to play, but if you can get good at it, it can be quite nice. So we'll say, how much air? Make more queens. Put down a den, a Hydra den. And I'm going to add a couple of other timings here just so we can have like Evo chamber stuff like that as well. We'll say when the Nidus finishes, so 12 to 13, go for their third. As soon as Nidus finishes, max out immediately. Let's say, as you're spawning,
Oh, there's Twitch Twitch.
versus air,
Twitch
as your first Nidus
Hey,
spawns,
Jill, say that 10 times fast.
put down a Hydra den.
Okay.
If you have enough queens to live, you can probably skirt your Hydra den until then. The thing is, it takes a long time for Protoss to get to a good air army. Now, let's just say, versus air, put down a Hydra den, and plus make ground units. So we still want ground units, right? Because we do not know how many gates this guy has. We don't know all that stuff. Versus ground, max out into Roach Ravager. Yeah, Roach Ravager, essentially. So, like, just whatever you can do. And literally any unit you can make. That's like, you just need to have stuff. That's the most important thing with Swarm Hosts, is if they are like, okay, well, I'm just going to go try to kill them right now, you'll often get that. If they think they have enough army to just roll you over, you have to buy enough time to get another Swarm Host Locust Wave. That's your big ticket. This is to buy time for your Locust Wave if necessary. Okay? Now, all that being the case, I don't want to get your hopes up that you have the magic bullet, because like I said, defensive Protoss players, even with Swarm Hosts, they can be very difficult to deal with. So let's say we only have a few minutes left, so I just kind of want to go over a scenario in this situation here. Okay. Let's say you get a Nidus, and you get your Nidus worm to the left of the third base here, right over here. Great. You send your Locust Wave in, but there's 2 shield batteries and there's a bunch of cannons. Okay, plus there's air units and all sorts of other nasty stuff happening. Swarm Host Locust, you kind of need to be a bit reactive on what you can see. If they have a lacking amount of defenses, and that means like not a lot of cannons, their army's not there, all that kind of stuff, you can go for the Nexus. Okay, so we'll say target. Let's do target priority. Target priority versus Protoss with Swarm Hosts. We'll go base, which is greater than probes, which is greater than like tech plus army, which is equal to army. Okay, like that's all fine. So our first thing that we'd love to do is just snipe a base. That's fantastic. We can snipe a base, we're doing very well, because now their base won't be finished by the time our Locust Wave is back up. He has to play defensively. We can either try to snipe that base again before it's done and has even lower HP than before, or we can try to go for some other tech while he has to try to anchor that base down. However, in this situation, even 12 to 13 Swarm Hosts is not going to be enough to kill this Nexus. If he overcharges his battery, if he goes like, he has this army not attacking Hydras here, it's over his third. In this position here, you could do something different, which is to, you would control click your Locust after they spawn. So as they're flying through the air, you want to control click them, manually move them over, and that's when you want to survey, right? You want to take a couple seconds. What am I going to do? Am I going to attack the Nexus? Am I going to attack probes? If in this situation you see all this, you want to throw your Locust down at the probes. So the way that you can do that is they have a land like ability basically.
Yeah.
You just land them in the middle of the probes and then hold position.
Hold position,
Exactly. You got it, man. So I'll just write that right quick. After your locusts spawn, control click to select them all and manually move them to, like, we'll just put it in quotes, scout, right? You're just trying to assess the situation. If you are going for probes, land them manually on the mineral line and hold position. And then even if he's got cannons, even if he has shield batteries, you can't kill them all instantly. You can't heal everything instantly. So you'll get probably every single one of these probes, actually. And plus like a cannon, maybe even a simulator. Okay, so that's a lot of information. I know that we just went over. I wrote that all down so that we have the basic kind of gist of it. You want to be shooting for hitting about now, like 8 minutes. 8 minutes is your goal. Okay. Right. We'll just say with this build, 8 minutes is your goal. We'll say 8 minutes, 8-minute locusts. Right around there, if you can. That's like your best shot. Do you have any questions on that? Do you have any things you want to ask about? Anything I didn't cover that you wanted to make sure you kind of understand if you're going to try to play Swarm Host versus this? This also can apply versus obviously ground armies. Same stuff, just like less queens and then like more safety roaches. That's like the only adjustment you kind of really need.
Alrighty.
Yeah, but feel free. Any questions you have, anything you want me to clarify, anything like that. Okay. Hopefully that's helpful for you.
Yeah. Apart from ZVP, do you have any build orders early to mid game? Maybe focus on Roach Ravager for the other matchups. We don't need to cover it for the session, but if you have any.
Yeah, 100%. I literally play Roach Ravager versus Zerg and Terran. So if you want,
have build orders.
Yeah, absolutely. Here, I can literally, I'll just write them down for you. Okay, so versus Terran. My preference is the 3 Roach opener. Have you heard of that opener?
I used that opener before. I don't really prefer it. Like, I like getting the roaches. Because off my build order, I get speed and stuff.
Okay.
And I pressure with lings, and then I go into the roaches.
Yeah, that's totally fine. So, basically, that is more of like just like a roach timing that you're working for. Yeah. There's a couple ways you can do it. You want to do that off of like 3 base. You want that to be like a 2 base all in. How do you like to try to do that?
I usually do it off 3 base or like 2.5, and I start making roaches and then.
Okay, we can just say versus Terran. We'll just say like general roach style. That's totally cool, man. I love roaches. People don't play them enough. They all say they suck. I love roaches. They're great. General roach style. You can almost play this very, very similarly to like how you would do Ling Bane. Same sort of thing. 330 Roach Warren as a part of your natural wall.
330. Damn, I get my Roach Warren like 430.
You can. So here's the thing. You can delay it. I'm just trying to give you like the safest timings. Yeah. So 330 should 330. Prep you. Yeah, if you're gonna go for like fast Hellions, things like that. If they're gonna go for like Hellbat stuff, it'll be quite done in time for that. 330 we can even say to like 430 in there. It's literally like there's a lot of play with it. It's wherever you feel comfortable. The more you feel comfortable versus playing, the farther back you can push it to an extent. You really can't push it like too much farther back than 430. 430 is probably super greedy. I mean, I'm in Masters, not to say that really even means anything. I take mine at like 345. Like, I don't care. It's fine. I'm not really, like, so long as you're spending your larva, that's the important part. And then we can go like 4 to 430 layer. You just want to go for roach speed immediately after layer is done. You can also go for Evo chambers. Let's say 2 Evo at like 5 to 515. And then you want +1/+1. And then roll upgrades. So what I mean by that is non-stop upgrades from those Evos. You want to always be making an upgrade if you can. Like that's so huge in ZVT. If you ever can get an upgrade ahead of them, you're fucking crushing them. Like it's insane.
Yeah. Usually my
Now-
upgrades are ahead, so I'm happy with that much of it. Mm-hmm.
Nice. Now we do need something to deal with air, so it's kind of your call. You can either go, because they can just like make mass banshee and then we lose. They can make a bunch of medevacs and it gets really, really tough. So Roach Ravager is not a composition alone that can sustain for the rest of the game. You have to make something else
that's
with it.
true.
Yeah. So you can either go for Hydras at like, we can go like even like 615 to 630. Something like that. Once your speed and +1, let's make it a little easier. So let's say once speed and +1/+1 is done, attack. So we want to attack with that timing. That's actually a really solid thing with roaches, right? Is they're quite
that's usually
good.
what I do.
Yeah, very good, very good. So and we want to try to do that off of 66 drones, and 3 bases fully injected. So the way that we kind of want to approach doing that is make as many drones as possible, as fast as possible. Make as few roaches as you need to be safe. Like literally against a 2/1/1, you can go up to like 12 to 13 plus queens, and you're good.
Yeah.
So like you just want to really try to make sure you pump out as many drones as fast as you can, and then right at the very end, you just slam out roaches really fast, and that's when you kind of go and attack. Okay. As you attack, put down your tech. It's a very, very, very traditional way to approach the game, but it works very well.
Yeah.
So you can go Spire for Corruptors.
Can I go
Corruptor.
Spire in a normal game, like instead of Hydras?
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, certainly.
Roach Hydra isn't really my favorite composition to have. I used to do it, but like it started to kind of suck for me because I like playing high tempo and Hydras are just too slow behind.
You can. It's very gas heavy. That's the only thing, right? So
Yeah,
your
that's-
army
yeah.
becomes very expensive. You can afford it. You can, because I definitely have done it before. You can definitely go Corruptors, and you don't need that many if you want to play Corruptor. If you want to go Mutas, and that's like your main style, you will need to go up to 4th base very fast. So depending on what you want to do, if you want to go Corruptors, let's put this. So as you attack, put down your tech plus macro.
Expansion.
Yeah, so we want Spire. We're going to take Hydras out because you don't like Hydras. 4th goes down before you attack. So it's a little, like, right as you leave. Like, that's the first thing we want is the 4th base, okay? 4th goes down as we are moving across the map.
Okay.
So, actually, that's important here. As you move, let's take it from as you attack to as you move across the map. Because you literally want to do all this stuff, like, as soon as possible. Put down your tech plus backer. So we want 4th base.
Yeah.
We want to go up to, like, 72 to 80 drones. We want to go Spire for Corruptors or Mutas. And we want +2/+2. Those are the things we want.
What's the magic drone count for this one? Actually?
What's the what?
What's the drone count for this one?
So once you either, if you win with your +1/+1, you want 66 drones for that timing for roaches going across the map with +1/+1, 3 bases, fully saturated. You don't need to get the gas at your 3rd if you don't want to. You can just go minerals there, so it'll be a little less than 66. As you go across the map, you get your 4th base. You do want to go up to like 4 base saturation, 80 drones, end game ZVT kind of drone counts. That's kind of important. Because you need to be able to now sustain roaches and corruptors at the same time, which is pretty expensive. Same with ravagers and upgrades. So there's a lot of things we're trying to buy, and we need the money to do it. Versus Zerg. So that's it. That's a general versus Terran. Versus,
okay, this is very tricky. I do not want to go into the Lingbane first.
Sure, I play a style that is pretty much you circumvent that completely. So I'll
Okay,
just
that's
write
great.
down the build order for that. It's 2 base roaches. So normal start. So you want to go 16, 18, 17, all that stuff.
Okay, so hatch first. Okay.
Normal 16, 18, 17. Yeah, hatch first on this one. You don't need lings first, really. You want to go 2 queens and 4 lings. You can skip the 4 lings if you're feeling confident. I usually just make them. And then 4 lings across the map. Now, you do not get ling speed.
Do not.
That's
Okay. Sure.
Do
Okay.
not get ling speed. No ling speed. As soon as queens are done, you want to do the following: inject in the main,
Creep tumor and
plus
the edge,
layer,
or-
yeah,
Okay.
and then creep tumor at the natural. But you
Alright.
need to make it kind of like close to your hatchery, closer to your natural hatch than you would think. Because you just need a little bit. You just want a little bit to put
Yeah.
buildings down. Okay?
Yeah.
As soon as you can, make 2 Evos and 1 Roachworn.
Okay.
Yep.
Depending on
Sorry.
the map, of course.
As soon as it goes to creep tumor, and then 1 queen at the natural. Sorry. 1 more queen at the natural. Okay. To wall off the nat here, put a queen in the in the hole and hold position. Very important. We just need to hold position. You'll miss an inject cycle. That's okay. It's more important that you don't die to speedlings. You want to go up to. This is your end goal drone count with this timing here. Okay. So we'll go. As soon as Evo is done, go for +1 missile. As soon as Roachworn plus layer is done, go for speed. And then drone 12 drones on the minerals at nat. And double gas saturated at the natural. Okay, so in total, we want a total of 16, 28, 31, 37 drones. 37 drones total. Then stop. And that's 3 gas saturated.
Are there any transitions from that?
What's that?
Are there any transitions from that point? Like
Oh,
if-
yeah.
if you- Yeah.
Totally. And I'll just write those down here. We're going a little bit over time. That's totally okay, though, man.
Oh,
Happy
apologize for
to.
that.
Yeah, we'll just finish up this last part here, and that's no problem at
Yes.
all. So 37 drones total. Then stop. Make a shit ton of overlords, like 80 supply,
Okay.
80 to 90 supply total, like total cap is what we want. Spam roaches. The best I've ever done is 16. I've only ever been able to hit 16 roaches by the time my upgrades are done. That's the crispest I've ever played. Okay? We'll say 10 to 15 seconds before speed and +1 are done. Start moving across the map. You can go for creep highway if you want. Like, that's fine. You don't have to, though. It's just up to you. Where you kind of have your overlords in a line, right? You just have them all drop creep,
Yeah.
like the path.
Yeah.
You don't have to, though. It's totally up to you.
Nah, no worries. I can do that.
Yeah, as you are moving across, take your third and drone. So we need a drone off of this. Stop making roaches. Don't make any more roaches at this point. You have to drone. Like, if you don't drone, we're doing bad. When you get there, when you get to your enemy, if they underreacted, kill them. Okay, you just kill them. If they made enough roaches to live, then we want to retreat, drone up, and take +2/+1. So we want to get an upgrade advantage. If they made a spire,
I can go into hybrid. Like,
yeah,
I'm fine with that.
you at that point you kind of have to do. You don't have to,
Yeah.
but you really want to go Hydras at that point.
Yeah.
Put down hydrogen, plus make a ton of queens, and connect your bases with creep. 2 spores in the main and third. 1 spore at the nat. Pull back all your overlords. Go for a 66 drone, +2/+1 Hydra Queen Roach timing. You can just straight up demolish people with that if you don't die before they kill you. Like, if you don't die before they you know. If you can live to 66 drones versus a Spire in this situation, and you can get Hydras and stuff, you can just demolish them. Like, they're just dead. But did that make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
So, kind of 3 situations there. If they underreacted, kill them. If they made enough roaches to live, retreat. You want +2/+1. Drone up your third. At least try to get enough minerals there, but you need to keep an eye on their army. If they decide to just run out, you do have to make roaches, right? So you kind of have to... That's a little tricky. You kind of have to watch them as much as you can. We'll say scouting lings. And Overlord positioning, very good. So we can see when they're moving out, how much they have, what are their upgrades, blah, blah, blah. And then, yeah, if they made a Spire, just go easy mode, man. Make a bunch of queens, connect your bases, spores, drone up that third. 66 drones, 6 gas, hydrogen. Like, you can put the hydrogen down almost immediately, really, if you want to. But the queens is your main focus there. And then pull your overlords back, get that timing, and go across the map, end them.
All right. Got it.
Yeah. So there's 3 fun builds you can do. I make no promises about the Swarm Host one, to be very honest with you. That is probably going to be the hardest one to do, but the games where you win, you will absolutely just decimate them. They will have 0 chance, and it will be a joke. Then, yeah, versus Terran, it really just depends on how well you can control the map. And then versus Zerg, it really depends on how well you can scout and see what's going on. The last thing I'll add to that is your 4 lings here. Your 4 lings that go across the map.
All right.
Need to scout for an all-in, basically.
Yeah.
So you need to scout if he's not making a queen, if he's just slamming lings. In that case, you just need to like make roaches as fast as possible, plus spines, and try to live. Don't spend any energy on your queens. Bank transfuse.
Okay.
Just the last couple things I'm typing here.
Okay.
All right, awesome. Yeah, but all of those notes that I was talking about, everything here, it's in that form that you filled out for me. It's just at the bottom there, so it's session 1. We got a good, like, 2 pages worth of notes, so hopefully that's helpful for you. Any last things you had any questions on, man?
I could, if it's fine with you, maybe I could just ask them on Discord, that I'm not, like, using up a lot of your time. You can respond if you have the time. But...
Yeah, sure, absolutely, man. Feel free to ask me a question whenever you want. You can always ask in the Discord channel, Twitch, if I'm streaming. That's totally fine. Whenever you have a question, man, feel free.
Alrighty, that's pretty much it. Thank you very much for your time. This is very helpful.
Awesome, dude. Well, hopefully you start crushing some Protoss with Swarm Host. There's no build more salt extracting than Swarm Host, buddy. So it's just it's a badge of pride there, the amount of salt that you can extract when you go for these kind of builds. So, hell yeah, man.
The same timing for mech, right? For ZVP.
For which one? For mech? Yeah, basically, that's just a kind of a general solid Swarm Host timing. The same rules apply. If they ever get a 4th base, you lose. So don't let them do that.
Okay, one last, sorry.
Yeah.
Swarm Host, like right after the safety units, Swarm Host immediately. No more roaches once.
So depending on what they're doing, right? So you want to have like when the roach warren's done, you just make like 8 to 10 roaches, at some point kind of in there so that you can stay safe against like light harass and things like that. You still want to get speed. You don't have to skip that or anything. And then as you're getting that 3 base saturation on all your gas as well, and your infestation pit's going down, that's when you don't want to spend money. You kind of want to bank at that point so you can immediately make 12 to 13 swarm hosts.
All right. Okay. Thanks, man. I'll catch you on screen.
Yeah, sounds good, man. GG, get out there.
Thank you. Thank you.
Take care, buddy.
See you next.
Nice. Converting another player over to the swarm host builds and apoptosis. They say I've never done anything for the Zerg. Well, look at me now. Just making swarm host player after swarm host player. What's going on, everybody? I hope that was helpful for all of you guys as well. Good to see you all. You're very welcome, Vespionagee. I hope to see some replays very soon of you just crashing into Protoss when they're unexpecting swarm host, dude, and it's just it's such a good feeling. You just gotta be careful. You just gotta kind of really that timing and being as safe as possible. There's this really there's literally 1 minute where you're not making any defense units, and that's when it gets really shaky. So you just gotta really be careful in that spot. So long as you can kind of stick the landing, as it would be, you're gonna have some very fun games. What are you still doing here? The video's done, man. It's over. It's done. I mean, go home. You know, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, but we're finished here. I mean, maybe I'll post another one in a couple days or something, but I mean, it's not going to do you any good waiting around here. Go on. What are you still doing here? The video is done, man. It's over. It's done. I mean, go home. You know, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, but we're finished here. I mean, maybe I'll post another one in a couple days or something, but I mean, it's not going to do you any good waiting around here. Go on.